What's up, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday night. It is Wednesday, and I am so excited because I have my Lori here.
Yay! Hey, everybody.
Yes, Lori George Billingsley is featured on episode 6. I can't believe it. We are almost done with the first season of Kingdom and Culture podcast.
Wow.
Lori.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
It's
That
almost
is so awesome. Look
Yeah,
at you, the vision. You wrote it down, you made it plain, you ran with it, and here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. And I'm so excited. Like, I know I told you on the podcast, I told you now, like, I literally need like 5 episodes with you because all of them were so good. Like, every point you gave during the episode was so impactful, so inspirational. And I know you got shout out to your Inspire sign behind you. I love that. And your company, now that you've retired from Coca-Cola after many after many years of diligence, like, tell me, like, what's up, what's new, what's next, what's going on with Lori Inspires?
Okay, well, the first thing Lori Inspires is doing is laying on her couch for the month of December and just chilling,
resting,
and rest time, and just be able to reflect and relax and just kind of recharge for 2023. And so since we last spoke, I joined another corporate board. Shout out to Shake Shack.
Shake Shack,
and
and you're on multiple boards, which you help actually run these businesses.
Yeah. So when you're on a board, you're responsible for the oversight of strategy and CEO succession, and just, making sure that companies are doing what they're supposed to do and giving them counsel and guidance and advice, but not trying to run the business. And so that has been interesting. The other board I'm on is Pioneer Natural Resources out of Texas. And so I have been looking at next in terms of, as you said, Lori Inspires is really around not just serving on these corporate boards, but also doing speaking and writing. So I'm going to be writing a book. I don't know yet. It's going to be a combination of, sort of like what you're doing, Kingdom and Culture. So like faith and the marketplace, and bringing those things together, and some lessons learned. So that'll be fun.
I love it. That is fun. So exciting.
And I'm starting a nonprofit ministry, Tell the Truth Ministries.
Tell the truth. Come on, tell the truth. Come
on, truth.
Yes, truth. Yes.
Truth. Crying out in the streets. These here streets. So that is a nonprofit multimedia publications ministry. And so
that is a full plate. It sounds like it's a full plate after retirement.
Yes.
Refirement. That is so special. And you deserve everything that you have, and you've worked so hard for it. And I'm just so honored to just have you as my big sister and coach and all the things that you mean to us. And so as we transition, like into the podcast episode, the episode will launch tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So first of all, we talked for a full hour, Lori, and we talked about a lot of things. We talked about your navigating life and what that looks like. You talked about diversity and D&I, and you talked about literally being a catalyst, which you still are doing, on how do you merge where you are in the marketplace with, the world and the culture. And so how you bring kingdom to culture, and you are such a practical example of what that looks like. And you gave so many examples in the podcast. So tell me, like, what we talked a little bit in the podcast, and you guys will have to check that out. But speaking of kingdom and culture, like, what is, I know that one of your coworkers or someone that you worked with and during your career said to you, listen, the marketplace, I look at the marketplace as part of my territory or ground for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was a really good reminder. One of my dear friends who I love, she said, if you look across the spectrum of, the company, yeah, obviously the Coca-Cola company where I was, the impact that you have to look at that as like your mission field. So you think about like all the employees, you think about all the partners, all the customers, that is like your mission field.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helped put in perspective, because a lot of times, especially if you're called into ministry too, where you're like a minister, but you're also, full-time working, not in the church. A lot of times you can get it twisted in your head, like, oh, if I'm called into ministry, I should be behind a pulpit. But it's like, could I have had the same impact behind the pulpit that I had in the marketplace? I had a much bigger platform outside of the church, and I am called to outside the four walls of the church. And so it just really helped put it in perspective, and just another reminder, one of those reminders along the journey, where every so often God will tap you and be like, no, it's not about soda, it's about souls, or no, look at this as your mission field. And it's just keeping that kind of constantly in front of you, so that you can, as they say in the church, govern yourself accordingly.
Oh my God. Yes.
So that you can really look at like, I can shine bright for Jesus and be in a Fortune 500 company and not have to be out here like preaching Jesus, but just showing up with integrity and kindness and just like making things happen and doing things with excellence. And that is a bigger testimony than me sitting down and, preaching about Jesus and then doing stuff like raggedy. So it's just how you kind of bring it all together and show up with kingdom and culture.
That is so beautiful. I mean, I get fired up hearing you talk about that, because it literally is the heartbeat of why we have this platform, because it's like there are so many more people that we can reach by being excellent, by doing our jobs well, by executing, and then looking for the opportunity or the open door to be the hands and feet, as you said, of Jesus, which is beautiful.
Yeah. And always be ready to pray for somebody if they're just like, oh, my mother's, dealing with something, or, oh, I have to go in for surgery. I'll be like, oh, well, let me put you on the prayer list. Can I pray for you? Those are the places where you can really come in and then show up in a different way, so that people can see, and like following up and being like, hey, the next time you see that person, how'd the surgery go? Or how's your mom doing? And just, again, just showing that you care. And it's not just about, a transaction at work, but it's really about having a transformational type relationship.
Yeah. And I mean, care, that word means so much right now, specifically because we are in a holiday season, right? Season of giving season of quote cheer. And, a lot of people are facing, having that go into from Thanksgiving last week into the holiday season with Christmas, just with the loss of people that they do care about. And so you're right, just being able to extend yourself enough to ask the questions of how are you is so important.
Yeah. And extending grace too. I know, sometimes everybody's always looking at like your successes, but it's also like showing failures that you've had and being able to identify with people with your failures and helping them through their failures. So like you're talking about, we're going into a season where people really, you can be either really happy or you could be really sad. And right now you have a lot of companies that are laying people off. I mean, we hear about it in the tech world and then, just sort of across the whole spectrum. And it's remembering like who you are. It's not about your job. Like who I am is who God says I am, not what the world says, and not what, I may have done something at work and maybe something didn't turn out the way that I thought it should. And I see that as a failure. well, that project may have failed, but that doesn't mean I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Or you may have a situation that you're facing that's really challenging,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to almost like separate yourself from like, yes, my job, and I do everything I'm supposed to do at my job, but that's not who I am. My job doesn't give me like who I am. That comes
Mm-hmm.
from God and from the word of God, and just reminding yourself of that, because a lot of times people can have their identities tied up
Wrapped up.
in their jobs
Yeah.
and in their titles.
For sure.
And yeah, that's
not who
just
you
not a
are.
good way to live your life,
Mm-hmm.
because if tomorrow your job is gone,
Yeah.
or like for me, I'm retired and I'm clicking my heels, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, woo, this
Yeah.
is awesome. I'm living my best life.
Right.
But it's like, I'm still who I am.
Right.
I'm not less of a person because I don't have this job with this big title any longer. It's like, no, I'm still the same person,
Right.
and I'm cool. And that's why I'm going to be on my couch for the month of December.
Yes, I love it.
Recovery.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So
Yes.
two thoughts came to mind when you were talking about that, and just separating your identity from what you do.
That's
Two
right.
different conversations, right? Two different paths. Talk a little bit to like leaders, because you've had the opportunity to lead so many, and how do leaders really encourage and empower their staff and their direct reports to be able to have the mindset of success, which is different or separate from what you put down? Because, to your point, a project, you can crash and burn if it all lives there, right?
Totally.
If this project succeeded, or if you hit all the KPIs or whatever, we're all going into year in review. So talk a little bit to leaders and how we should be positioning our perspectives going into falls with our staff.
Yeah, I think the thing that's most important is, as a leader, you have to lead, right? So you have to show up in a way, I have like a servant leader mentality, but that doesn't mean like I'm a punk, right? So I'm still going to produce, and I'm still going to be competitive, and I'm going to do all those things, but I'm going to do it with a spirit of humility. But that doesn't mean like I'm just going to be sitting back soft spoken.
Yeah.
I can lead with humility and have the back of my team. So if something goes wrong on my team and somebody's going to hold someone accountable, you hold me accountable, because I'm the leader of that team. Now I'm going to hold my team accountable for the things that they are supposed to deliver. I'm going to make sure that we're having checkpoints. I'm going to make sure that, if there's something that we need to course correct, that we're going to do it. And if it's something that we just need to say like, hey, this isn't going to work, then we address it. But I'm going to take the hit for my team.
Okay.
Like, my team's not going down. It's going to, because I'm the leader. If I'm the team lead, then like the buck stops with me, and the accountability. I'm not going to say like, what was that person's fault? No, I should have. And then I'm going to help them have the air cover, because I think that's the thing that's so prevalent in corporate America, is sort of this spirit of fear, where people feel like, okay, I can't mess up, or, if something happens, somebody's going to throw me under the bus. So as a leader, I feel like the first thing you have to do is cover your team, and you have to provide that air cover, which means as a leader, you have to have a good reputation, and you have to have a good track record, so people know like, okay, this doesn't happen a lot with this person.
Okay.
And so if they're, saying that it's on them, then I know that they're going to be able to fix it because of that person's track record. So I would say, as a leader, you have to obviously have a good reputation. A good name is like the best thing you can have.
Yeah.
Bible supports that. You have to be willing to provide cover for your team. You have to be willing to be vulnerable with your team. and to have real feedback with your team as well, so that everybody understands like who's responsible for what. You know, if somebody's sort of not pulling their weight, addressing that, having open communication, and just holding everyone accountable. But if something, you know, for me, it was, I want that person to shine when it's really good. And when it's bad, I'm going to take the hit, but I'm going to work with that person and they're going to see that I took the hit. And so that's going to motivate them to want to, you know, fix it.
Wow. What an
example. And that's the way I think you grow your team. And I think it was Maya Angelou, who said, you know, people will forget, you know, the quote I'm trying to say, people, basically people won't forget the way how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I think for me, if I think about the leaders who really stood out the most for me, it was the leaders who went to bat for me, and the leaders who really stood by me when things were going great and when things weren't, like when maybe there was a misstep.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I remember, as opposed to the ones who like threw you under the bus.
Right. That's so powerful. Yeah. I know. I remember in the podcast episode, you actually spoke to that. You spoke to when you were on the other side of that as an employee, how you learned through, you know, an experience you had with your boss. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And he modeled for me how you should handle those kinds of situations. And that's something that's kept with me. And so I try to model that with the employees that I've had, so that when they are in a leadership position, and we're all leaders, regardless of if you're an individual contributor or you're a manager, we're all leaders, because you can lead, you know, peers cross-functionally. And I just think it's helpful for people to just understand what that looks like. And you could see it in the Bible with David. And, you know, with Jonathan, with Saul, with David, like you can see good leader and attributes, not so good leader and attributes. And then you can pick and choose the ones that you want to adopt for yourself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, guys, make sure you check out the podcast. I'm so honored just to have Lori.
All the podcasts, not just the one tomorrow, all of them.
Yes, thank you, Lori. All of them. Check them all out. We got 6 episodes out. God has been so faithful. And we got 3 more to go after this. So I'm so excited to get those out and share, like, put in a comment, something that inspires you, so that we can share that feedback with Lori. And until next time, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow on KNC Chats. Bye. Bye.
Bye.